Welcome to Sovereign Self, weaving spiritual awakening with the fabric of everyday life. Your host is Zofia Rennea Morales. We'll discuss and show you how you can achieve the highest potential in your life through divine wisdom and really live. Now, here is your host, Zofia Rennea Morales.
Hello and welcome back to this week's interview. We are talking with Susan Shatzer today. She is a 10-time #1 best-selling author and conscious revolutionary. She runs an extremely successful energetic coaching business. She's a single mom and has a mission to launch your visibility into mass consciousness. She's the executive producer and host of the global TV series Unlocking Your Limitless Life, which is featured on all 7 continents, 90-plus networks, and can be accessed on any smart device from anywhere in the world at any time and by anyone. Susan shares that now is the time to have transformational leaders, heart-centered entrepreneurs, change makers, and teachers of higher consciousness to own the airwaves. Thank you for agreeing to be with us today, Susan. I'm so looking forward to our talk.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure, and I am so honored to be here with you and to have been asked to be a part of this program in shifting people's realities dramatically.
Yes, it's an amazing and powerful responsibility.
Yes, we're up for it, you and I.
Absolutely. and I love the subject we're talking about, which is using questions to empower your destiny, because questions is what opened it all up for me. But before we get into that, I want to kind of rewind before you're this amazing global TV producer, high-powered mystic. What was your life like before all of that happened?
You know, thank you for taking me all the way back there.
I think it's important to go all the way back there because so many people look at us and go, oh, God, she's got it all together. I could never be that.
Yeah, it's good. It is. It's important too. So yeah, my life was not always like this. In fact, it was the complete opposite. It was a struggle. 8 months after my son was born, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And It's a chronic illness, and it's not something that you're supposed to ever get better with. And it's supposed to be a progressive thing, and like where you are is the best you're going to be. And then it only, gets worse from there. And literally, Zofia, it was one of those things where I, was at the point where I was ready to go to a third world country, get a stem cell transplant, or take myself off the planet. And it was like one or the other.
Wow. And those are some really extreme choices.
Yeah. It got to that point because I realized when I was diagnosed within the first 2 years that, I was in an abusive marriage. My closest family lived 8 states away. I chose to bring this child into the world. Like I can't go anywhere. I have to get better as fast as I can for this. And then it was not working. Like that plan was not working.
Yes.
So it was when my mentor, and that kind of happens that way. Like it's supposed to not work.
Exactly. I had one of those not working moments myself. It's like all the doors have slammed shut.
Yeah. And I'm okay with it not working now. Before it was just not. I would wake up crying. I'd go to sleep crying. I would wake up tired. I'd go to bed exhausted. I was never able to catch up on anything. And literally what happened was one of my mentors at the time said, what if that's what you were asking for?
I know. I had a psychotherapist who said that to me. She's like, you asked for this, I'm like, the holy hell, I did not ask for this. Bite your tongue.
It's like, what kind of crazy could that be?
It's called enlightened master crazy.
Exactly. And so that's when I realized that, I couldn't say yes and I couldn't say no. And that question actually empowered me because I did discover that all of the judgment and whatnot I had placed on him because he left before my son turned 2. And we were just talking about this on the call before this, that it was me being willing to acknowledge that he was choosing what worked for him.
Yes.
And it actually worked for me because I was able to parent the way that I dreamed of parenting. And my son was able to grow up with the parenting style that he helped co-create with me. And he's 16 now. He skipped second grade. He's going to college in the fall. It's like he's living his true, authentic self.
And such an amazing blessing that comes out of all of that. And the huge thing that I know you haven't mentioned, but that jumps up there for me, because I have a practice husband, and he was abusive and nasty, but he didn't want to let go. And so it's a huge blessing that he decided to just go on his own.
Yeah, to leave.
Yeah.
And there was tons of judgment from like, till death do you part, and in sickness and in health, Zofia, and, deadbeat dad, and, how could you do that? And it was just like all of that kind of stuff was just swirling around us, the whole time. And it was when that mentor asked me that one question, it blew open the doors to a different possibility. And so I've been asking questions ever since.
I love that. I brought my first miracle through as the result of asking a question. So I know how profoundly powerful the questions can be when you're asking the right ones. When you ask the wrong ones, they can just handcuff the heck out of you.
Yeah, I found that a lot of people think they're asking a question, but they're actually making a statement and then, trying to put the question mark at the end of it.
Give me an example of that.
Well, it would be something like, well, what, I can't even go there because that's limitation.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the people that may be online with us have something like that, but
the one I hear a lot from my clients is things like, why me? It's like, that's not an empowering question. This is not going to move you forward. What else could possibly go wrong? Delete, uncreated the story, all of that. We want to know, where's the gift in this?
Yeah. Yeah, like, why did this happen to me?
Exactly. Well, how does this benefit me? I like that one. How does this serve my highest interests?
Yes. Those are, and you know what those questions do just be, it's like, I can feel like my brain is already thinking of a different possibility. You're activating that within you to create a different possibility. Like, you don't have to be where you are right now.
Yeah. And the questions are the keys that open those doors. It's just incredible.
Yeah. There's some very powerful ones that truly allow you to step into a different possibility versus continuing vice versa. Continuing with the same stuff. Like, how long have we run that, poverty program, or how long have we run that, I hate my family program,
or I can't get love from anybody. All the good men are gone. Yes.
Yeah. Like, money doesn't grow on trees, and, you got to love your family because they're family, and blood is thicker than water. And,
well, and it's one thing to love your family. It's another thing to expose yourself to them on a regular basis.
And, what if it takes, us just being willing to be the energy of what's required?
Exactly.
Because sometimes we're required to be this like loving brother, sister, daughter, son energy. And sometimes it's not required.
Exactly. And there are moments where what's required is to set boundaries with these people that you love.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm so glad we're having this conversation because, it's a new way of looking at things. Like, we weren't taught this way, to think this way at all. We were taught to not ask questions, to when we were 2, we were told that, okay, this is the last question,
Yeah, stop asking me why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in school, it's like they wanted the answer. They always wanted you to give them the answer. They didn't want you to ask questions. And so we were programmed to not ask questions.
Yeah, and if you asked questions, you got all kinds of demerits.
Yes.
It's like, she's a troublemaker. Let's write that down. So your husband took off and gave you this wide open space to raise your son in a more conscious fashion. I love that. What was your journey into your sovereignty like? Into discovering that you are more than just a body and you're not this creature of separation and isolation. You are yourself and you are your other selves as well. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, thank you. It was, so I realized that with that question, like there was a lot of stuff that I needed to like do inwardly, like work myself. So I started getting a hold of like any workbooks and webinars and summits and telegrams and whatever I could get my hands on. I would get my hands on and just consume. And each thing I did, I found shifted a little bit, Zofia, but didn't give me the everything. You know, I wasn't accessing the everything. Like, okay, so I tweak this, tweak that, tweak this, tweak that, but there was not the rest of it available. So I started to take a look at like other possibilities. And I was in a class and arbitrarily I facilitated someone out of having allergies for this gluten thing, or I don't know, she had like a whole list of allergies. She had a really small list. Her husband would cook for her. And I was in the class and I ended up talking to her about questions and whatnot. And so next thing you know, she's eating like French fries off my plate. And I'm like, so give it a try. And it was, you know, it was dynamic. I was like, holy cow, like that's not supposed to be possible.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's where the logical mind has to take a seat.
Right, exactly. And I was like, you know, well, gosh, if this was possible, like what else could be possible here? Like, what else could I do? And so I started the trek on, you know, body work and, you know, realizing and acknowledging that I can tap into people's realities and see exactly where, you know, the limitations are, where they're stuck. And then I ask them questions and allow them to acknowledge a different possibility and then clear out whatever that limitation is. So we take their cup and we dump it out. And so they have more space in their cup to activate and draw in that which they'd like to have in their life. So it's pretty amazing, literally. And I wish this was a course in school. You know, I wish our had this, you know, like the question class, right? And all you did was ask questions. Like, wouldn't that be fun? The question curriculum.
You know, there are a lot of things that they should be teaching in school that they're not. You know, how to be happy in this moment. Being present. I mean, that would make such a difference on the stress in this world and how people interact with each other. If you could only shift that.
That's a great one. Yeah, we're actually taught to not be happy, that there's more value and more worth to have trauma and drama. You like actually have friends. You know, you have stuff to talk about with your friends when you have trauma and drama. Like, look at the reality TV shows that we have.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Let's not say we did.
It's like we don't have enough of it ourselves. Like, we need to watch other people's trauma and drama. And then that's supposed to be our pleasure, right? Like,
it takes your mind off your own trauma and drama, right?
Right. And I'm like, you know, this actually, you know, I swear. So this was it. It was the one show. It was Naked and Afraid.
Yes.
I was like, there is no reason I would want to watch anyone be naked and afraid at all, ever. Like, why would I spend my time with that? I was like,
I know the trailers. I just skip over them. It's like, no.
Yeah. You know, and the same is also true though with Disney. So I used to be a Walt Disney World dancer. That's what moved me here to Florida from Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the whole, you know, Cinderella, you know, Mary Poppins and Fairy Godmother and all that kind of stuff, that's painting a whole other fantasy reality that we were fed as kids. That's what we were taught. That's what we watched on TV. It was the white picket fence. It was the, you know, you go to school, you get a job, you get married, you have buy the house, you have kids. It was like in that order. And there was never
you meet the prince on the stallion who comes and sweeps you off your feet and you live happily ever after. And that's not where happiness resides.
No. And what if like life, like what if you could have your happiness and your joy and it's a different way of doing things?
Exactly. And doing it differently brings you happiness and joy.
Yes. Like what works for you. It's not about what's worked for everybody else and what society says you're supposed to do and you have to do. I mean, I have clients who, you know, had an abusive marriage with their husband and they separated. They have their own house with their kids and the dad is not living there. Like the abusiveness is not there, but they're still married. So they're still receiving all the benefits of, you know, everything that happened before. And like, that's not supposed to be possible. Like either you're married or you're divorced. There's no in between. Like,
there's no middle ground and that like, there's no divorce and stay friends either.
I was like, there's no word for it. Like, we're actually creating new realities that don't even have like a term for them yet. I love that.
Absolutely. The other thing that Disney tends to put in you, along with society, this is really pervasive in the society, is the search outside yourself to fill that void. And there's nothing outside you that will ever fill that void. It's an inside job. It is. It's like you took it on, that limitation like that, and you can get rid of it like that. This whole therapy and talk to somebody about it and years, and it's a process, and you'll get through it, and we're halfway there. And like, what did you think about when that happened, and how did that make you feel? Like, all of that just cements, that traumatic episode, incident, situation, like into your life and your body. Right. I use the analogy with that. Feelings are messengers, right? So this is like the UPS man shows up on your door with like an eviction letter or something that you don't want. And instead of signing for it and moving on and dealing with that, what that is, you kidnap him and you tie him to a chair in your living room, and you deal with the people who come looking for him, and you tie them down too. And pretty soon you've got all of these emotions hostage in your living room because you didn't like the message they were delivering. This is crazy talk. Take the message and send them away. Yeah, we were never taught how to deal with that. Absolutely. Like stuff it in, like, buck up, fly right, that kind of a thing. Like press on regardless. Yeah, like take it, love it, leave it. It's interesting. I tell people, I'm like, so are you done with this story? Because really it's a story that's running. Mm-hmm. Like this loop, and it continues to run, and it shows up in like, with one man or one job, and then the next job and next man, or, whatever it happens to be that you have that loop running. So I said, look, let's close the book. And guess what? It's overdue at the library. And yes, it is. You've been paying penalty fees on it. Are you done paying the penalty fees on this story? Like, yeah, let's just turn it back in. It would have been cheaper to buy the book in the first place. It is, because that's really what happens. When you talk about cheaper, it's like it's taken a lot out of us, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, to run this program, to have this story running in the background or the front ground or the foreground. Yeah. And so I look, when you give it back to the library, I go, have the librarian archive it so nobody else can check it out. Exactly. Just take it off the rolls. Yes, be the gift. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so fun. I love what we do. We're like changing lives. It's like we're giving them a different possibility. Like, where there was no hope, there's hope. It's like, and it's an education process. Do you find that too? Oh, totally. But I'm going to pause you for just a second. We'll go into this education process in a minute, because we are going to take a quick commercial break. You can always continue the conversation with us after this on Facebook. I am Zofia Rennea, that's Zofia Rennea, and you can get a hold of Susan at Team Limitless Life, also on Facebook. And we will return from the break in just a moment.
This is the Voice America Influencers Channel. Be inspired.
Want to improve your health, business, and life just by listening to a radio show? Well, we can at least move you in the right direction. Listen for Spotlight, the Allison H. Larson Show. Each week, Allison will speak with amazing guests and find out what's changed their lives and how they are changing the lives of others. From beauty to health to business and personal relationships, we're here to inspire you to live your life of passion. Listen every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Voice America Influencers Channel.
Dialogue is the single most powerful leadership tool we have to make a difference in the world. Leading Conversations with host Cheryl Esposito creates a place for that dialogue. Tune into the Voice America Business Channel every Friday as Cheryl hosts new conversations among leaders from around the world in business, government, art, economics, and social change. We'll explore big ideas and everyday actions and learn how their own leadership has led them to discover a newfound sense of possibility in the world. Leading Conversations with Cheryl Esposito, bringing big thinkers together in conversations that make a difference, right here on the Voice America Business Channel every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
The Voice America Talk Radio Network is on Instagram. Make sure you follow us and comment on our pictures from behind the scenes at our radio shows, live events, and around the network. We want to see what you have to share as well. Check us out on Instagram at Voice America Talk Radio.
We don't follow, we lead. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
You are listening to Sovereign Self with Zofia Rennea Morales. We'd love to hear from you on the show today. Call in to 1-866-472-5795. Again, that's 1-866-472-5795. Or if you'd prefer, send an email to askzofia@transformationspace.co. Now, back to Sovereign Self.
And we're back. Thank you for hanging with us over the course of the break. If you prefer Twitter to Facebook, you can find me at Zofia Rennea, ZOFIA RENNEA on Twitter. And Susan is at Susan, SUSAN_Shatzer, SHATZER. And so we were discussing the education process that goes on as we're moving through the world. So let's pick that thread back up and tell me what you see in your clients.
Yeah, thank you, Zofia, so much. So, having a child is just very interesting because he's always challenging me for, the possibility that I'm not choosing.
Yeah.
And, he's great about it. So, can I give a couple examples?
Sure, I'd love to hear some examples.
Okay, so I've taught him everything. So he knows how to mow the lawn, weed whack, clean the pool, test for chemicals. He does grocery shopping. I've taught him how to pick meat, figure out the vegetables and the fruits. He knows how to compare pricing and value and all that kind of stuff. So he's got it all. He's got his permit. He's driving. So he said to me one day, we were changing the sheets on the bed, so he was going to put the sheets that he wanted to have on the bed. And so he said to me, Mom, do I have to do the whole matchy-matchy thing? And so that's a term my mom uses. So my mom is Italian upbringing, and so that was her job when she was a little girl, was to make the beds. Mm-hmm. And so she, would make them, and everything matched. The pillowcases matched with the top sheet, matched with the fitted sheet, matched with the bed skirt. Like it was the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it matches the drapes, and yeah.
Yeah. So he said, do I have to do matchy-matchy? Like, does everything have to match? And I said, well, that's a great question. I'm like, normally, if it was my mom's generation, it would be like, yes. And I'd be like, well, no. I'm like, what are you thinking about? What would work for you? And so he says, all right, I'll go in the closet. So he goes in the little linen closet, comes back out. 10 minutes later, he's like, hey, Mom, come check this out. I'm like, okay, cool. So I walk in, everything is different. I was like, well, this is interesting. It's an interesting combination that you've created here. I'm like, so tell me about it. Because everything has frequency.
Yes.
Light has frequency, sound has frequency. So these combinations of sheets had frequency. So I said, so tell me about it. So he had the fitted sheet down was this blue color. And I said, so yeah, start there and tell me about it. He says, well, I like to float in the water like he does. Like when he goes in the pool, he just likes to float. And, it's very calming and soothing. And for him, he goes, so when I sleep, he goes, this is a very calming, I feel like I'm in the water. And I love the, just being able to float. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I said, so, tell me about this top sheet. And it was like this tiger leopard print. Going on. I was like, okay.
Wild child.
Yeah, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, well, these are all wild animals and they will protect me while I'm sleeping at the water hole.
Nice.
Like, okay, I get that, right? So that's awesome. So then I looked at his pillowcases and they're flowers.
Oh.
And it's so not the thing that...
Not what you'd expect from a teenage boy. Yeah.
So I said, so okay, what's going on with the flowers? And he says, because he loves like plants and terrariums, and he went from like Legos to lizards in like 6 months. And so he had all kind of, frogs and geckos and chameleons and day geckos and crested geckos. And so they all had their own like environment. And so he said that made him feel very comfortable that he could be with nature and that he was being nurtured with nature.
Mm-hmm.
He was close to the plants and the flowers, like living with his head, and that was going to nurture, his brain while he was sleeping. And I was just like, where'd you come from?
How'd you get so dialed in so early?
Like, he's 16, so he's like 6'2", right? So he's 12 I'm looking at him like, really? I'm like, do you want to make my bed for me? Like,
it's a very personal experience, Mom. You have to choose your own sheets.
Right? And it was just like, it was so eye-opening to me. And I was like, what if we've been doing it, like, not in connecting with our body, because we're the being. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't eat the food, our body eats the food. We don't wear the clothes, our body wears the clothes. You know what I mean? Like, we don't do sex with, our partner or other people, our bodies do. So, like, what if we were to ask our bodies, like, what would contribute to that? I bet you we get like a whole, like that.
Actually, I do that with my clients. I do a thing that I call body consciousness alignment.
Nice.
And we introduce the soul to the keepers of the human body. And we start a relationship and a dialogue with them and say, okay, I've got terrible allergies happening right now. What can I do to support you in bringing us back into balance and turning down the waterworks and getting rid of the itching? What is it that we need to do? And your body will tell you.
Yes.
It's really straightforward. It doesn't play games. It's just like, okay, you need to clean the bedroom. Okay, we'll clean the bedroom. Clean sheets. Okay, fine. Here you go. But it'll be very, very clear with you.
Yeah. We've been taught to like override that for so long.
Press on regardless.
Yes. We how many times did we ask to like wear our princess dress to school or our Spider-Man, pajamas to church? And we knew that would be a contribution to us and our body. And it was what, our body was looking for, but no, we couldn't, because that was not the right thing to do. And that's not where we go and how we do it. And so we were taught to cut off our awareness from our bodies.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the education part that you're doing already and that I do with my clients, to actually allow you to have a different possibility, that something that you weren't taught, in fact, you were taught the opposite, that shut you down, that you now have access to.
Yeah. Oh, it's so wonderful to see people blossom out into that too. Life gets so much better when your body is a partner on the journey as opposed to a tool. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And would you be willing to get in the driver's seat? Like, so many of us turn over, our body to, other people, and we get
the doctor says I'm supposed to suppress my symptoms by taking these drugs.
Yeah.
And that doesn't get you better. It just hides what's going on.
Yes. Yep.
Speaking of what gets you better and talking to your body, tell me how this has progressed with regards to your MS, because you have clearly not deteriorated.
No, and it is truly, by the grace of God, because with the amount of lesions that I do have, that they've been photographed with MRIs on my brain and my spine, like, it only takes one in the right place and you're like not mobile, or you're, it's just that way. I really feel as though it's my asking questions that create a different possibility in my life. I still do get all my testings, my blood work, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm honoring the body. Mm-hmm. And so my body is still like, look, there's still some stuff here and we still need to do some treatments. And I'm like, okay with that too. So I'm not with like, okay, I'm against it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that I'm like, okay, this is what I had before and now I don't have it at all. You know what I mean? It's not a miracle cure kind of a thing. It's like, I have an awareness that this is what was created with my body, how it got created. And now that it's here, let's work together on creating greater ease for you, body. And what would that like to be?
Yeah, exactly. I have a friend who went through breast cancer recently, and they sent her for radiation, which, if you know anything about that, the expectation that the physician sets with you is you're going to it's going to burn, there's going to be open wounds, there's going to be all this stuff that happens as you go undergoing this course of radiation. And she basically looked at her doctor and said, I reject your reality and substitute my own. Because she's a light worker also, and she's like, my soul's understanding of why I'm going through radiation is to understand more about frequency and what happens with frequency. And this is to my benefit. And so she would talk about going to her radiation appointments as getting lit. I'm going to go get lit today.
That's so funny.
And she never developed the sores or anything. Her doctor was just dumbfounded. And she's like, you need to set different expectations with your clients because you're planting seeds of destruction that don't need to be there.
No, it's not how it has to happen. It's funny. I get IV infusions like twice a year. I think it's about twice a year. And I demolecular manifest the bag of the fluids. And I like totally take out all the toxic amalgams. I hold the bag before. So only what my body requires is what's coming in. And then my mind, my talk is like, I'm being infused with ease, joy, abundance, gratitude. Those are my frequencies. So I'm like,
and I'm going to feel fabulous afterwards.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's amazing what a difference a simple shift like that makes.
It is. It's profound. It's really profound. It's because what we think about, we talk about, and what we talk about, we bring about. That's the amazing part of humanity. And that's why so many, people we were never taught this. We were actually given things that would like shut us down. Mm-hmm. Like the word want, for instance. You can go back in the dictionary. I know so I've talked about this, but the definition was changed on us. And if you go back 1946, like the whole column in the dictionary is all about lack and not enough and, less than, that kind of thing. And you get to the very bottom and then it's like desire and have. So, our words are frequencies, right?
Absolutely.
So they flipped it on us. And so at the top now you'll see have and desire. And then they launched a propaganda sort of campaign to all of us with the word want. So we were infused with, at a very early age, what do you want for breakfast? Where do you want to go today? What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? It's everything you want, everything.
Yes. Yeah, and the commercials that they play on the TV, it's all about want and lack. I mean, it's like, if you don't have the cool car, you don't have the chicks. And if you don't have the chicks, you'd be square dude sitting on the side by himself. It's crazy.
Because when we say, I want more money, the universe is hearing you say, I lack more money.
And it's like, I'm happy to deliver that if that's really what you're looking for.
And that's what shows up. You have less money.
Yep.
I know. It's pretty crazy. We were never taught this, but once you discover this and you are in tune with it and you start to become conscious with it, you literally, can untrain. Like you're on this loop of want and then you see all of a sudden the exit ramp shows like, oh my goodness, like I'm getting off.
Exactly. Shoom.
You're off the exit ramp, and you're like, because you've been waiting for so long for that checker flag to get out to get the you won. You know what I mean? And so sometimes you get off the ramp, and you're like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'll get my tires changed. I'll gas up. I'll get a Gatorade. You get back in, and you're going around, and you're still looping around.
Like, no, don't go back there. I am is another one that I pay really close attention to now because that's what changes your frequency, and it brings in either what you want or what you don't want, if we're going to use the W word again.
Yeah, that's it. I am and I have. And both of those are present. So you would like to speak to who you are and what you have.
Absolutely. And what you desire to have, certainly. I have been working to break myself of the habit of saying things, putting things like tired, exhausted, fragile and needy, whatever, behind the words I am, because I don't want to call that in.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And we were taught.
Yeah.
How many of our family members or friends go, how are you doing today? How are you feeling today? It's like, what if it was like, we're all happy and handling and joyful and abundant? You know what I mean? It's like, well, how much abundance do you have today?
Radiant and vibrant and grateful.
Yeah, like I'm on Bumble because I'm single. And so this one gentleman texted me and he said, how are you feeling? Or how are you doing today? Right. And I was like, exceptional. He was like, click. He was like, click.
This woman is not on my vibratory level. I'm out of here.
It's like, what are the acceptable answers? I feel like fine, good, okay,
I'm getting along. Yeah.
Right. Like, good. How are you? And I'm like, excellent. It was like, okay, I'm not, she's not, we're not a match.
Yeah, we're gone. And you're like, yes, we cleared one out of the way.
Exceptional. I'm exceptional today. I think that was it. But yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like we're not actually matching the vibrational frequency like a lot of other people still are on the planet. And when we show up, we're showing up as like, do you find that too? Like your authentic self is like way more than what people can handle. It's kind of like, whoa, what is she on? What is she? I need some of what she has. And they always go to like pharmaceuticals. I'm like, no, this is really me. Like this. Yeah,
this is not pharmaceutically induced.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so many people can't resonate because they do the trauma drama, and then they do the thing where they've got to call this friend and then have the trauma drama story, and then they call that friend and have the trauma drama story, and then they call somebody else. And I remember saying to a family member, I was like, okay, so how many times would you like to like relive the trauma and drama? And they're like, well, I really wouldn't like to do that any longer. I was like, okay, great. Then stop talking about it.
And on that note, we're going to go to another commercial break. You can catch up with me on Instagram at Zofia Rennea, ZOFIA RENNEA, or you can go to Unlocking Your Limitless Life to catch up with Susan Shatzer over on Instagram. And hang in with us through the break. We'll be right back.
Change starts here. Change starts now. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
It's time to unlock some of the best-kept secrets in health, wealth, and happiness. Are you ready to live your life to the fullest and hear insider tips from today's experts? Then tune in to the Forbes Factor with celebrity TV host and inspirational icon, Forbes Riley. She's a best-selling author and TV fitness expert, and you know her from QVC and HSN. Now she brings her expert advice and guests to the Voice America Influencers Channel. Tune in live every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time for the Forbes Factor. We guarantee it will be the best hour of your week.
Tune in to the Tony D'Urso Show with key influencers for entertaining and thought-provoking weekly discussions with some of the top stars in their fields. From business, sports, and science to entertainment, music, and literature, Tony's guests share their success and give their wisdom. If you're looking to manifest your vision and see how others have done so, be sure to listen to the Tony D'Urso Show every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Influencers Channel.
Become a member of VoiceAmerica.com. It's easy, and best of all, it's free. Start out by going to our homepage or any of our channels and click register at the top. Once you've created an account and signed in, you can create your own custom library, opt into our newsletter, search by show, host, guest, or topic of interest, or browse millions of hours of content across all of our Voice America radio channels. Membership gets you more. Visit VoiceAmerica.com today to get started and tailor the listening experience to your taste.
We don't follow, we lead. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
You are listening to Sovereign Self with Zofia Rennea Morales. We'd love to hear from you on the show today. Call in to 1-866-472-5795. Again, that's 1-866-472-5795. Or if you'd prefer, send an email to askzofia@transformationspace.co. Now, back to Sovereign Self.
Thank you for hanging in with us through the break. You're listening to Zofia Rennea Morales and Susan Shatzer. we are discussing the 3 questions that empower the path to your destiny. So I suppose we should get into what exactly those 3 questions are.
There's actually way more than 3 questions, but there are 3 questions that are sort of key to getting the ball rolling for people. So it's, would you be willing to acknowledge that, like, the reality you have is something that you created based on the point of view you have?
Mm-hmm.
So an example would be, I was at a big expo and I was on stage and I was speaking to the audience about point of view creates your reality. And, you know, this one woman was just very upset about that, like really having a hard time with it. And so I said, you know, is there anyone who has any questions, anything that we'd like to talk about? And so she raised, I went right up, I knew it, like, she was already popping for me. It went right over and we got talking and I said, so what's not working for you? And she says, well, I had a car accident. My back is busted. I can't work anymore. I'm constantly in pain. You know, I walk with a cane. I can't sleep at night. And I was like, okay, cool. And not.
I would give money to see her face when you said, okay, cool.
The whole audience was like, she has no sympathy. She has no empathy. Oh my God, she's not saying, God, that's horrible. I'm so sorry for you, right? It's like that would have been disempowering to her and everybody there. So I went, okay, cool. And they all went, and I was like, I'll get to it.
Yeah, I always want to look at them and take their hand and say, congratulations.
I know. I'm like, it's just a shock and awe. I'm like, you'll get through this. So I asked her, I said, okay, so what, before you had the accident, I'm like, what were you doing? And she said, well, I was working. And I go, well, what were you thinking about while you were working? She goes, well, I was trying to figure out how I couldn't work anymore. I'm like,
well, guess what? Wish granted.
I know. I go, well, what you thought about, you talked about. And what you talked about, you brought about. I'm like, so you created your reality. And she started laughing.
Oh, awesome. Because laughter will move shit.
Yeah. And she was willing to acknowledge that she created it. She started laughing. So I told her, I go, look, yeah, when you start laughing about this stuff, I go, that's your truth.
Yep.
That's her truth. And she's willing to acknowledge it now. Yeah. So it was really profound if you would be willing to acknowledge. So that's one of my questions. So truth. And you've got to say truth, because so many times we're the best liars to ourselves.
Oh my God. I'm the first one I'll lie to.
Right. And we can convince not only ourselves, but like everybody around us that that's really true. Like we've got a whole long line of things that will back it up. Well, this is true because this is true because that happened and they said that and that showed up. I'm like, no, it starts with.
Well, and it's what you focus on too, right? If you're focusing on finding things to support this disempowerment that you're in, that you're going to find them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Your point, because that's what you're attracting. Yeah. And it's just validating your lie. So get rid of the point of view that you have that's not in your highest and best interest, that's actually creating things that you are not looking and are not joyful and not abundant in your life. So truth, would you be willing to acknowledge that you are the creator of your reality?
Exactly. So what's the next question?
Okay, so the next question is, what would be the next good one? Okay, so I just had it and then it like escaped. So that's not the best one. Okay, yeah, so here's a good one. So the vibrational frequencies that we are, excuse me, when you look at Stephen Hawking's chart,
mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of different charts. And
I love power versus truth, power versus force, yeah.
So at the top of his vibrational frequency, like anger, rage, fury, hate, they're all at the bottom. Blame, shame, like there's an actual number given to that frequency of what that emotion, feeling, and sensation is. So as you go up to the top, like gratitude is one of the ones on the charts that's just below God consciousness. So when you're in gratitude, you cannot be in judgment.
Exactly.
When you're in gratitude, you cannot be angry. So would you be willing to be the energy, space, consciousness, and frequency of gratitude at all times with everything?
Yes.
An example of that was when my son and I were driving in the car and we pulled up at a red light and we just happened to be looking out the window and there's like trash and, broken glass and pieces and parts from, cigarette butts and pieces and parts from accidents. And I mean, there's just tons of nasty stuff down there. And I started to feel all of the judgment about, trash, messiness, it's not clean. They don't care about the city, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm like, I know that's judgment, right? Because I have the awareness of it. I know it doesn't belong to me because I'm an infinite being and I don't do judgment. So it's like everybody else's stuff was coming in based on what I was observing. And I was like, okay, so what's right about this that I'm not getting? So that's the question. What's right about this that I'm not getting? And when I asked that question, all of these things started to flood in. So I was talking with my son, he was sitting in the seat next to me. It was like, well, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have street sweepers. Our streets wouldn't need to be swept up. So there's a loss of a job. I'm like, and if everything was picked up, then the kids that are in juvenile detention centers wouldn't have a day out, picking up the trash in the medians. I'm like,
getting sunlight and fresh air and
like feeling the freedom, the space.
Yeah.
And it was like, we wouldn't have, and it so just went on and on and on of all these things that were right about it that I wasn't getting. And so with that, my vibrational, I am so grateful for the trash on the side of the road. I'm like, because of, all these different things. And literally you can feel your frequency go from like judgment and, that pisses me off that this street is so shitty looking. You know what I mean? Like there's literally that's what comes up for people. It's like, wait a minute, catch that, check yourself. Is it yours? No, it doesn't belong to you. And what's the gratitude? Like what's right about it that you're not getting?
Exactly. My husband and I are in the process of eating what some people might term a shit sandwich.
Yeah.
He has a client who's been with him for many years. And to say that he's abusive is kind of an understatement. And I have, for the length of time this client has been with us, prayed for a shift in his business so that he does not have to take that sort of abuse and that he works with people he only enjoys working with. And recently this client has decided, I'm not going to honor the end of the contract. We're not going to pay you all this stuff. And I'm looking at it and going, okay, my prayer is being answered. Things are shifting here. And I sort of expected this client to just go away, which I would have rejoiced, even though he represents a large amount of money and we pay employees and this kind of thing with what he brings. But that hasn't been what's happened. What's happening is there's been a shift within the company, a recognition that this guy is not the correct leader for what's going on in the company, and it's looking more and more like he's going to be forced out of the company, which is even better for us because we get to maintain a long-standing client, but the personality that's such a problem is off to the side. And it's like, yes.
It's like the universe delivered, not only what you were asking for, but the next step beyond that. So it's like we're thinking what could shift and, what could be better? Like what could we, and the universe delivered that.
Absolutely. In a way I never anticipated because my personality mind is going, good, he'll hit the road, we'll drop the client, we'll find somebody else to replace him. And it's like, no, wait a second. The guy and the company are two different things. The guy can go away and the company can stay.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you tap into the infinite possibility. And it shows up as if by magic because it's actually something that you weren't consciously aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
And you invited that in. You created that. Zofia.
I did. I created that. And so every time the financial drama pops up, I go, we're going to take a bite out of the shit sandwich because I know there's something good in here. I'm going to find it.
There's a different possibility here.
There absolutely is. So what's our third question for empowering our destiny?
Yeah, cool. Thank you. So I love this one. So everywhere that you are believing and thinking like everything is falling apart, like my whole life is falling. How many times do we say that?
Oh my God.
Right? Like we were taught that, like if everything's not in the flow, then it's falling apart. Right? So what if there are things that need to fall away from you, like relationships? What if things need to fall away from you, like a job or, where you're living, whatever it has to be, in order for you to have the space to have come into your life the thing that you're looking for?
Exactly. You can't receive when your arms are full. You have to let go what you've got to receive the next big thing.
Exactly. So would you be willing to shift your point of view from it's falling apart to it's actually falling into place?
Yes.
And then you have gratitude for that. It's like, okay, so like I'll give you my example. So my house has been struck by lightning 3 times.
Holy buckets, girl. You should have won the lottery based on that.
Hey, and I'll accept that. I'll receive it.
Okay. Yes. Let's receive a lottery win.
So 3 times motherboards, all the appliances, the pool pump, all that kind of stuff. So
oh yeah, it gets expensive in a hurry. We were struck by lightning a few years ago. I know.
Yeah. So after it got struck twice, we put lightning rods on. So we got smarter.
Yeah.
It's like house. Okay, so you attract all of this power and frequency at a Zeus's lightning bolt kind of like style. What do you need to protect yourself? What would you like? What would be a contribution to you? So we got the lightning rods put on. But since that, I've had my roof, had hail damage. So we had to put on a new roof. And then from the new roof, we had water damage, which came in and now there's tile falling out of my shower. So we can't use the shower. And then the pool deck on the back, the lightning came through. So we had to get a new thing there. And then on the front of the house, we had hail damage in March. We had to get a new garage door. So, and we're still doing this.
Yes.
Air conditioning broke. I'm on my way to a conference. I'm speaking for the first time at a conference, and we're packing up, and there's 3 of us, and there's a lot of equipment because we're going to be filming while we're there. I'm like, is it getting warm in here? You guys yeah, it's getting kind of warm. So I push the button down, right? So as I'm pushing the button down, 76, 75, 74, 73, the temperature's going up. It's going 78, 79.
There's a problem.
What's going on here, right? So we can hear it on because I'm thinking it's not on, but the coil. I mean, there's still, there was a problem with the Freon in the coil, and we had to get a new part and all this kind of stuff. So that's still not even fixed. I mean, we do have the coldness. They replaced the Freon, but the part stuff. So it's all of this stuff and insurance and contractors and all this kind of stuff. So it's very easy for me, to go into oh my God, my life is falling apart. Can you believe this? My house is falling apart. My life is falling. My finances are falling apart.
You're getting upgraded is what's happening.
Yeah. It's kind of so, okay, house, who's going to be the new owner? I'm I get it. You're getting your upgrade. You're getting ready to be sold. And who's going to be the new owner? Who are you going to own next? You've owned me for a very long time. We thought that. Who's going to be your new owner? And this is how funny this is. So the one room that has not been upgraded, so it's the original in the house, is my master bathroom.
Oh.
So of course, the tiles come down, there's a leak here, the back, all that stuff that's, that happens. I was check you out, house.
I'm going to have me a new bathroom.
That's right. And this is what was required. This is how it had to show up for that, right? So do you see the gratitude in it for me? I'm I'm going to get a new bathroom, man. That's awesome.
This is awesome. Exactly right.
House. I love you, house. Thank you so much.
So we have just 2 minutes left at the end of the show here. Would you like to share your free gift with the listeners?
I absolutely positively would. So the free gift I have is 12 different resources, and they're free. They're all free. I'm giving it to you free, and then each of them are free. And what they are, is it for you, it's for your business, it's for your home, it's for your hobby, it's whatever you have. They're resources that actually contribute to creating greater ease in your life. And they all start out at free levels. And then if you love it so much and you want to expand, you can then go into the paid portions of them all. And none of them are trials. They're all free. And then,
I love free. And you can go to sovereignself.media and you can pick up and click on the link to go get those wonderful free tools from Susan.
I love it.
It has been a pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you so much, Zofia. I just feel you and I are like these pioneers, like Christopher Columbus. It's not flat, it's round. And you and I are like, there's a different possibility here. We can help you and show you with this. So thank you for having me. It's been a blessing. Thank you.
Likewise. And thank you to all the listeners out there for being with us today. If you have any questions you specifically want answered, you can always send those to Ask Zofia at transformationspace.co. And as always, Second Saturdays are coming up in June, and we're going to be embracing our financial flow. So go to Zofia, Second Saturdays, Zofia, SecondSaturdays.com. Second Saturdays, Zofia, SecondSaturdays.com, and you can get signed up for the Second Saturdays Embracing Financial Flow. And we will see you back here next week. Until then, live soul first.
Thank you for being a part of our program this week. Sovereign Self can be heard live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Influencers channel. Please join host Zofia Rennea Morales again next week, right here